Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another lesson for Biology Grade 7. In this lesson, we are going to learn about EIR, Environmental Impact Rating of different activities. The first activity for which we have to learn the EIR is fossil fuels. So let's talk about the EIR of fossil fuels. Before talking about the EIR of fossil fuels, you just need to recall the previous lesson where we talk about the rules for EIR. We discussed that EIR of any activity can be negative, or it can be even positive, or it can be neutral. And then we discussed that if the emission of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases is too much or environmental threat is more by that activity, so we will say the EIR of that activity is negative. And if it is supporting the environment, making the environment better, so we will say that the EIR of that activity is positive, and neutral if it don't leave any impact on the environment. So fossil fuel, in last lesson, if you remember, we discussed that fossil fuels release a lot of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases. So it means we can say that the EIR, environmental impact rating of the fossil fuels, is negative because it is not the environmental friendly, but releasing a lot of gases like carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, methane, which are not environmental friendly. Like here in this picture, you can see in this power station, fossil fuels are being used. These fossil fuels are releasing, are using, are releasing a lot of harmful gases in the environment. So ultimately, they put a bad impact on the environment, like the release of carbon dioxide or the release of carbon particles get converted into carbon monoxide, and it also causes the acid rain, which is very harmful for the environment. So we can say the EIR of the fossil fuels is negative. So let's have a look at the reasons. Here is the complete description. You can see the EIR of the fossil fuels is negative, and here we have the reason for the negative EIR of the fossil fuels. The first reason is fossil fuels emit carbon dioxide. As I mentioned you, and in previous lesson also we discussed that the fossil fuels emit carbon dioxide. So if any activity, any machine will release carbon dioxide, then we will say its EIR is negative. So this is the first reason for its EIR to be negative. It also emits oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, which actually come in the category of the greenhouse gases. So we will also say that the EIR is negative because of this reason. And another reason for the negative EIR of the fossil fuel is when these gases, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, or sulfur oxides are released, so they increase the temperature of the atmosphere. And increasing in the temperature of the atmosphere results in the global warming. And there are a lot of bad impact of the global warming. We will discuss inshallah in our coming lessons about the global warming also. What is global warming and what are the main causes of the global warming. So one of the reason of the global warming is when we use the fossil fuel, so they increase the temperature of the atmosphere by releasing the carbon dioxide and the other greenhouse gases. So it creates many environmental problems. So we can say the EIR of the fossil fuel is negative because of these three reasons. And the second activity for which we have to discuss the EIR is windmill. Windmills EIR can be considered as positive and as well as negative. It means it actually is environmental friendly as well as, and it is harming the environment as well. There are many reasons that actually we can say it is having a positive EIR, because you can see it is using the renewable energy source, wind. Wind actually will move the blades of, here are the blades of the windmills. The wind will move the blades of the windmill, and then we have the turbines. That turbines work when the turbine will move, so electricity is produced. So it is actually very environmental friendly that only a renewable source of energy is used, which don't emit any carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases. So on that basis, we can say its EIR is positive, because no emission of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases is there because of the windmills. So this is the first reason for their EIR to be positive. The second reason for their EIR to be positive is using a renewable source of energy, which is wind. So of course, no fuel burning will be involved. So we can say, and even it is replaceable by the nature. So even this source is having no danger of extinction. So we can say its EIR is positive because of that. But it will be like quite new thing for you that a windmill will have the negative impact on the environment also. So there are many negative impacts also. Like you can see here in this picture, when windmills are established, they take lot of land. This land can be used to cultivate crops or even to grow the plants. At some time, to establish a windmill plant, a lot of plants are removed to clear the land for them, to make the area very clear so that this will be established there. So on that basis, we can say the very first reason is that for being the negative EIR of the windmill is that it affects the crops, because a lot of crops and even a lot of plants are removed. So we can say its EIR is negative. Secondly, the blades of the windmills, you can see the blades of the windmill uh, kill a lot of birds flying in that area. So the bird movement reduce in that area. So complete habitat get disturbed because of them. So on that basis, we can say as the windmills kill a lot of birds, so their EIR is negative. And another reason, windmills, when the blades of the windmills move, the fans of the windmills move, they make a lot of pollution. Also, many machinery is used in that area. So noise pollution is created actually. So on that basis, as noise also affects the environment, affects the living things in the surroundings. Many living things move from that habitat. So we can say the EIR of the windmill is negative. So these were the two activities that we discussed the EIR for them. Inshallah, in our next lesson, we will talk about the others EIR of different activities.